Ladies and gentlemen, I told you guys we had a very, very special guest to step inside the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer. Give it up for the man, the $1,000,000 man, Ted DiBiase.
What's up, guy? Good to see you, brother. Been a long time, man.
Yeah, man. How you doing, bro? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm just getting old. It's like the pandemic hit, and I just said, I forget it. I'm not going to dye my hair anymore. So this is the real me.
Well, you can see my beard is a little dark today, right? Last week it was fully gray.
Well, brother, I tell you what. You know what? I finally said, you know what? It's just reality. So I'm going to go with it.
Hey man, every year is a good year. Every birthday is a good day because I always say they say, man, you getting old. I say, man, I just know I'm still here.
Yeah, amen, brother.
That's a good point for me, man. But you back on the road. Seem like, man, you seem like.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing. I'm 67 years old, and and all of a sudden I'm getting all these calls to go do autograph signings here and autograph signings there, and of course the other thing is the ministry, and I've been in the ministry for like 20 years now, and of course that's happening, but it's happening a little bit slower. I think churches are starting to open up and invite me again. But yeah, I mean, I'm man, I'm climbing on a plane tomorrow and flying to Tampa.
Hey, but can you imagine in a million years back in the day when you was with the Rat Pack, here in Houston, Texas, that after your career was over with, that we would still have a market the way we do, fans still want to see us, still want to take photos and get out. Did you ever think it would be like this?
Brother, I had no idea. I tell this one story. I think it was maybe 2 years ago. I flew over to the UK and I was going to be there a week, and I did a show, and I don't know, and then I know we were going to Glasgow, but that was at the end of the next week. So I had all this time. And so they took me to their equivalent of a Walmart. And I'm walking in the store, and this little kid's walking out with his grandma. He might be 8 or 9 years old. And he walked by me. He went, "Grandma, that's $1 million man." I turned around and I said, "No way."
Wow.
I said, "Son, you know who I am?" He says, "You're the $1 million man, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, but how do you know me?" You know what he said? He said, "Video games and the network." I'm like, wow, unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
that always shocks me. That always shocks me when a kid that I know is well too young to have watched any of my career, and they know who I am, and I'm one of their favorite.
Oh, and you know what else, Booker? They probably know more about your career than you can remember. I know that's true for me. Oh my gosh, unless they start rattling off these matches and they go, "Oh, you remember when you wrestled Macho Man, and you remember when you and Andre the Giant did this or did that?" And I'm going, "No, but I'm glad you remember."
You know what? Just like you just said right there, and I think you and I are quite alike. I would think a little bit on that. Like someone asks you, "Hey man, you remember this match? Or you remember that match?" And I tell people all the time, I say, "Nah, I don't remember it, man." And then they'll tell me about it, and then I go, "Oh yeah, now I remember." Yeah. I never wrestled for me to have the memory. I always wrestled for the fan to have the memory. Were you like that?
Yes, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And the other thing is, I mean, the pace that we were at. I mean, my gosh, there's 31 days in a month, and we were wrestling 21 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, any way you cut it, whether you went 3 straight weeks or then they changed the plan to 10 on and 3 off and 4 on and 3 up. But any way you look at it, you're only off 6 days a month.
Yeah, and you have no time to think about a wrestling match. That's where these kids are today. Let me talk to you about that for a second, man. What do you think about? I know the way I learned. I learned the business watching guys like yourself, knowing how to pace myself, knowing how to go out there and tell a really, really good story, knowing how to go out there and have the crowd feel the raw emotion of
Right.
what's going on when somebody is getting their ass kicked. So that right there for me, I learned from you guys. And then, for me, I wanted to pass that on to the next generation as well. But this generation, that today is a little bit different. What's your thought process as far as today's let's say state of wrestling?
Oh man, Booker, I tell you, it's like I would say it's a lot of the guys today, through no fault of their own. I mean, it's like you just said, the way you and I, my generation and your generation were the last generation to learn the business the way the business was always taught, and that was like what you just said. A guy would take you in the ring and teach you how to take the basic bumps to protect yourself. Yeah. And then you just get in the ring and go. And you would, but they would put you in the ring every night with an experienced guy who could lead you. And over time, we acquired this gift to read the crowd. And it's like, and this book, you could have a match with a guy one night, and if you try to duplicate that match the next night, you might duplicate the match, but you may not get the same reaction.
Yes, indeed.
That's the deal. It's like if they don't react the way you expect them to, then we had to learn how to think on our feet and shift gears and do something different. And I still say that's to me, that's what's missing in wrestling today. And I don't know if it's I don't know, because I'm not around there anymore. But I just feel like, and when I talk to upcoming guys that are trying to get into business and want to be wrestlers, I go, okay, everybody knows wrestling's entertainment. I said, when you walk into a movie, it's a movie. But if the actors in that movie are as good as they can be, they draw you into the story, and pretty soon you're either scared or you're jumping up in your seat. You're excited, you're mad, you're crying, you're laughing. I said, they play on your emotions. I said, you need to do the same thing in that ring. You need to make it as realistic as you possibly can.
And then you get up at the end of that movie when the credits are going up and everybody's clapping like they can hear you.
Yeah.
That's what I tell you, Ted. You and I are so much alike on that. I tell that same story. It's what you just said right there about a movie. I say, when you go to a movie, if it was a good movie or if it sucked. And at the end of the good movies, you might find yourself up, clapping. You go to watch a play on Broadway, you want, Bravo, you want encore, you want all of that. And if you're not getting any of that, somebody didn't do their job tonight. And I think and I'm like you as well. I'd never blame the young guys. I don't blame the young guys. I blame the teachers a lot. I blame, man, we lost a lot of carpenters along the way that was, should be here, help, get these guys on track, so, and this era is different because sometimes I want to help them and I might say something and they'll tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, so it's different. It's just different today, but we still love it, man. We still love it. And what do you think about Paul Bosch getting inside the Hall of Fame?
Man, nobody.
Go ahead and tell me. Go ahead and say it.
Nobody deserved it more. I'm going to tell you what, Paul Bosch, in my opinion, was one of the best promoters ever because he was known to be fair. If you worked hard, especially if you were one of the guys in that spot, you were going to get paid and you were going to get paid right. And of course, promoters are not always thought of as being fair. I mean, part of growing up in the wrestling business or, growing up in a carnival, it's like, you got, shady promoters, right? They're going to try to get you, they're going to try to get the most out of you for the least amount of money. But Paul Bosch was, in my opinion, one of the best. And I mean, Houston was a unique city because even though I'm not even sure, I mean, Houston wasn't, I know that Bill Watts, bought it out and it became part of Mid-South. But before that, I mean, the wrestlers who came to Houston was almost kind of like St. Louis. they came from all the territories.
Yeah, know it,
I mean,
man.
he was getting the premier wrestlers from around the country were coming in there.
Yeah, I tell you.
It just was like an entity of its own.
I tell you, Houston wrestling was unique, and like you say, nobody better than Paul Bosch. And I'm here right now trying to keep Paul Bosch's dream alive as far as wrestling go. And this is our year, 2021. Our plan is to be the flagship of Texas wrestling: Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, a weekly show, and being on the road just like a carnival, and creating wrestlers just like they did back in the day from those experience and those camaraderies they made, mostly on the road, driving down the highway.
That's right,
so
brother.
I'm trying to bring that back here in the city of Houston, and we talk about those great names. That's what you're doing right now. WWE Lost Treasures. I did one part of WWE Lost Treasures as well, going around trying to find the memorabilia of Ric Flair, trying to find the memorabilia of King Booker, trying to find Junkyard Dogs, dog collar. I'm out there as well. Talk to me about the experience with WWE Lost Treasures.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, they interviewed me about Andre. Lost Treasures, and I don't want to give anything away, but Andre, the first time I met Andre, I was still in West Texas State up in the Panhandle playing football, and of course, a lot of wrestlers came into the business through the Funk family: Terry Funk, Dory Funk Jr., and I was still playing ball, and they Thursday night was wrestling night in Amarillo. And Andre was going to be there for the week, and Terry said, Ted, he says, we're going to be gone. Would you please take Andre out for us after the show? I said, yeah, I'd be happy to. Of course, I had no idea what I was getting into. And so I take him to this place where a lot of the college gang used to go, and we sit down, and the barmaid comes up and says, what will you have? And I said, I'll have a beer. And Andre says, do you have trash can? And she looked at him and said, yeah, we have several. He says, big trash can. He says, oh, yeah, we've got several of them. He says, empty trash can, 5 cases of beer on ice at my table. Wow. And she looked at me like, is he serious? And I said, I would say do it. I mean, you and I both know. He wrapped his hand around a Coke can or a beer can. You couldn't see it, disappeared.
Wow.
I mean, the guy was he was special in so many ways. And I can't remember what network they did a special on him, did a pretty good job of making the people understand just how hard his life was, because he was always looking for comfort. I mean, here's a guy, if you and I sit in a coach seat, we can sit there, but we're not really that comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, you put Andre in a first class seat and he can sit there, but he's really not comfortable because he was just that big.
Yeah.
He was always looking for a place to get comfortable. But can I tell you my favorite Andre story?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Okay. We're in Japan. Now I can't remember where we had gone from. We had done a bunch of stuff. The whole crew goes to Japan. And this is WWE. And so we check into the hotel. And that's the rule, you get there in the early evening, you check in, and then you go get something to eat. You want to stay awake the first night as long as you can, simply because if you don't, at 2 o'clock the next afternoon, you're going to be falling asleep. So I hit the elevator button, the door opens, and there's Andre. Let's go eat, boss. So we start down. This elevator stops on every floor. And these little Japanese people just keep getting on. Now, I would say maybe 3 stops ago, if the door opens and they see that many people, get the next elevator. That's not Japan. The whole country is the size of California. 3/4 of the landmass is uninhabitable mountains. So you got the population of the United States living in an area mass of about 1/4 of the state of California. That's stacking them up.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, they keep getting on. Andre reaches down, gives me a little tap on the shoulder, and I looked up at him, and he winked at me. I said, okay, Buck, The next thing I heard was the longest, loudest fart I have ever heard in my life. I'm biting a hole in my lip. I'm staring forward, and all I could imagine was the poor little Jap that's directly behind me, getting it in the face. And I remember thinking, I know it's the giant, but how could any human possibly have that much air in their body? Because
oh my God, man.
But bro, when the door opened, it was the Exodus. They were falling over each other trying to get out. And there was only two people left.
Oh man.
It was me and Andre. And as the door shut, all you could do was hear the big guy going, oh, oh, oh. He looked at me and says, they won't grab the big man anymore, will they?
I tell you, man. That's what you miss more than anything, man. It's the stories, man.
Man.
I tell people all the time, man, the stories are some of the best, you know, and as far as wrestling goes, same here, Japan. You can always find a good story in Japan. It was me and Knobs, and we went to this bar, and it was a bar, and it was underground, and the bar was called the Rolling Stone, and we was in that bar from like maybe 3 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the morning. We got out, we come back to the hotel, we run into Eric Bischoff in the hotel lobby at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking that we just could say that we're coming down from, you know, to get something to eat. Knobs, of course, we've been out all night partying. Come on, man. I'm trying to be on the low key here. Knobs, no way, brother.
We didn't know how to do that.
At all, man. But I tell you, man, Ted, look it up with you, man. WWE Lost Treasures definitely is going to be something cool for the fans to actually come on this ride and see exactly what, you know, what it's really like up close and personal, as well as being able to find this memorabilia. So one day, hopefully, when we get a WWE Hall of Fame that we can actually touch, we'll be able to see all of this memorabilia up close and personal, because I think just like Cooperstown, man, I think we need a physical WWE Hall of Fame with all of the memorabilia of the $1 million belt. All of the memorabilia that fans from that era looked at and said, man, that was it. And I try to hate, I really hate comparing our era to any other era, man. But I think our era, it definitely was the best.
Well, you know, I mean, and hey, brother, the fans tell us that. I mean, you know, I mean, we go somewhere and you go to sign autographs and stuff too, just like me. And I hear it day in and day out. You guys between the mid 80s and the mid 90s, you guys were the last great era of wrestling. Amen. You know, and you know what? And I don't want to take anything away from the young guys today. It's just everything has changed. Everything has changed, and you know, I know that as a matter of fact, I'm supposed to go down to the developmental center pretty soon. I think I'm gonna do something with that new guy their new money guy, Cameron Grimes or something.
Yeah, I love him. Man.
Have a little fun with him.
Yeah,
but it's you know, like, and the guys down there that are instructing the talent, those are guys I know and you know, and they're good. You know, it's like I don't know, Book. I really don't know what it is, but I think it's more than anything, they don't have the time. They don't have the time that we had to get in that ring and have a 20 or 30-minute match every night, and to learn to feel the business. If that makes, I know it makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. But I think a lot of it as well is them having a technician like yourself in their head, talking to those guys about what I talk to my students about is the little things, the what not to do's. And I think they need to know that more than anything, as well as, you know, sometimes, you know, if you never played in the Super Bowl, It's hard to tell somebody else how to get there. That's just the way I look at it. And as far as, and I know you don't want to, step on this era or anything, but we kicked their ass, Ted. We did it.
Oh yeah. Well, I ain't gonna argue with that.
I'm just saying. No, but,
that is the truth. That is the truth, man.
I just want to say thank you, man. You got any plugs you want to hit, man? Twitter handle, all that stuff.
I'm MDM Ted DiBiase. That is my Twitter handle, and I've got, milliondollarman.com is my my wrestling website. And I think that I got somebody that takes care of that stuff.
I do too. I do too, man.
Oh.
Guys, check out Ted DiBiase, Hidden Treasures. He's back out there on the road. He's getting booked all over the world. So you want to get with Ted, man, hit him up. Ted, I appreciate you.
Hey, brother. Hey, I love you, man. And how's your brother? How's he doing?
He's doing good, man. Him and I, we butting heads again.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get past it. But you know how brothers are.
Yeah, I got two of them. And as I go, I just tell all the fans to remember one very important thing. Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Thank you, brother. Talk to you soon. Love you.
Love you, buddy.